right, you ready? We have another caller,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't want to. Hey, Robyn, you are on with
Yeah,
Brian and Ethan. How are you?
good. How are you guys?
Good. So I was about to blurt this out, but I don't want to misrepresent you. You are a psychic, or was it medium? Or what specifically do you
I
refer?
honestly, either term kind of stinks, but I just stick with spiritualist, honestly, because we're all a little psychic.
Oh, can you tell me about your ability? Specifically Brian, because I'm a bit familiar with it, but I would like Brian to hear.
Sure. So you're just talking about like how I got into being more spiritual and how that led to like tarot and that kind of thing.
Yes, because you've made predictions before, correct?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah. Could you tell Brian and our audience a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. So at a point when I was much more often meditating and, connecting to, what a spiritualist will call higher self, through time and through practice, I got what I felt to be very connected to things and started doing readings for strangers so I could, hone my ability and, I don't know, feel confident in it. And I probably had about 6 or 7 really intense, detailed readings back more years ago, more often than recently anyways. But some of those readings, the one that I shared with Ethan before was, I had just started taking this intuitive tarot class and I wanted to practice on strangers. So my husband at the time was working at a hospital and got me these 2 girls that were interested in giving it a go. And so I took them both into a room and I pulled some cards, and the 2 very specific different messages that I got for one of the women, it was about a new life coming into her life, and not like a child. I didn't feel a child, but I didn't feel a person, but I felt a new life. I didn't really know what that meant at the time.
Okay.
And then I also very specifically saw her taking a 3-day cruise off the coast of Florida. And then for the other woman, I felt very strongly about her husband, who I felt was on the other side of the world, and pinpointed that. And then also felt like there were some shady things happening and that she was going to be really close with her family in the future. Both of them kind of laughed and were like, this is stupid. And then I get an email, I think it was 6 months or so later, from my then ex-husband saying that these girls were mind blown.
Huh? That's not relevant. I didn't know you were married at one point, but that's not
for a very brief time. That's a whole nother story. So I get an email about 6 months later saying these girls are mind blown because the first woman, her children bought her a puppy and then a 3-day cruise in the Florida Keys. And then the second woman found out just a couple months later that her husband, who was in, I think it was Japan or South Korea, one of the two, had been cheating on her. As the marriage ended, and her family, who had not been in her life for like a decade previous, came rushing back into her life and supported her during that crazy time. And that was the first tarot experience that I had with 2 complete strangers.
Okay, so questions. I guess that's why you called, so you're okay with that. Does the person have to be with you to be able to do these readings? Could you do a reading like for me over this distance?
Yeah, it can be done from a distance, absolutely.
Okay. Is there anything that you could tell me or Ethan? I mean, if you're more comfortable with that, that would kind of validate what you're claiming.
So at this point, so one of the things about being connected to, being able to feel, sense, hear, see these things is your mental state. and your
Okay.
spiritual practice. And I have not been in a good spiritual practice for a while, which is why I haven't read for quite some time. So I don't feel comfortable doing it at this point until I'm back in a peaceful state where I can do that easily.
Okay.
When you're all kind of emotionally messed up, you can't connect as easily.
Yeah.
So is there anything like, I'm trying to think how to word this. Is there anything I can do or anyone can do to help get you like in a more positive headspace where you could do these readings again?
It's about me kind of fixing my own life, honestly. When you're in a nice spiritual practice where you wake up and you meditate for 30 minutes and you're not super stressed out about all sorts of things, then it's much easier to connect. I've been in a stressful point for quite some time, so it's not flowing with me at the moment very well, not for a couple of years, honestly.
Well,
Okay,
I
so it's kind of
Oh.
dormant right now, is what I'm gathering. Then at this point in time, it's dormant. You wouldn't be able to utilize the ability.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to connect quite as strongly as I would in a point of peace in my life. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, when you do get back to this point, one thing I would like to revisit, if possible, is to have you do the. I think you and Jenna Belk and I spoke about this a few months back about getting having you and Sierra do a reading and send it to us. Would you still be open to that when you get your groove?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually did, when we talked a few months ago, I did write out a whole bunch of things for you. And that notebook is missing, but I still don't even feel confident about that because of where I was. But once I'm in a better place, I would absolutely love to do that. Yes, totally.
Yeah, that would be really cool if we could. You know,
I do too.
were you familiar with a few? Well, I should say probably about 6 weeks back when I asked a bunch of witches on my Facebook to curse me.
Oh, yes, I remember that very well.
So while I personally do not, believe it, I'll be entirely transparent. My life like went to shit the day I did that. And again, though, I think.
Did anybody actually say they were going to do that? Because most witches or, spiritualists would not ask harm or negativity on anybody because it reflects right back on yourself. So I'd be surprised if people would have been willing to do that.
Oh yeah, one in particular sent me a pretty nasty message and was like, "You want to curse? You got it." But here's the good news for those who are watching. I did go out with someone who this is probably maybe a month ago. I'm trying to remember the date specifically, but and I was telling her about this, and she is a quote white witch. And I've got a little prop here with me. She gave me this. She did something. Do you know what this is by chance?
Amethyst.
I'm actually only calling and I can't see.
Oh, okay. So she gave me this and did some type of, I don't want to say blessing, or I don't remember what she called it, but she did something like over my body. And she was like, I'm going to reach out. I want to know who this witch is so I can talk to her. I'm like, look, I don't need Battle of the Witches going on. I'll just take the positive vibes and I'll be good with that. So I did promise her I would keep this, near me for a little while until things got better. So I have kept it in my car, and so I just brought it in so I could show everyone. But
Can you explain over the phone what it is, since I can't?
I actually don't know what it is. I feel bad. She gave it to me and I was like, look, yeah, cool. I'll keep it. I have no idea what this is though.
I think it's amethyst.
Okay. That looks like, so it's some type of crystal that's wrapped up. Is it purple? What color is
Purple, yes.
Okay, so it's probably amethyst, which in the spiritual world, when you look into different stones and crystals and things, they all have different vibrational frequencies and different things that they do. And I think that the Amethyst tends to transmute negative energy into positive. So that's probably why she gave it to you.
And then she also recommended I burn sage, but I can't.
Yep.
Like while I'm open to those things, I don't know. Like if someone wants to burn sage for me, awesome.
Yeah.
But don't you have to cleanse your space to burn sage, right? Don't you gotta burn it in around where you're gonna be? So you're saying someone can come to your house and burn sage in your...
Robyn, what are the rules of engagement when it comes to sage? Like, can someone do that for me, or does it have to be me doing it?
So if you're doing sage in your space, then it's going to help cleanse out the energetic realm of that area. If someone's doing sage for you in their space, it's more of their intention and their energies that they're sending to you more than anything. Personally, I don't think it has as much of an effect on your space.
Okay.
But energy is transmuted through space and time without a question. So it's a hard one to answer. I would think it's more powerful in person, but anybody giving you positivity from a distance is going to affect you positively.
Brian, did you have any other questions for Robyn?
Well, just about that, what she just said there is that's kind of an interesting perspective on things, which is what we're doing here, the perspective. So anybody doing positive work for you affects you. Like, do they have to actually be like a magical practitioner, or just anybody and everybody sending positive energy your way? Is that kind of what I'm getting?
Yeah, just like if you guys have talked about Reiki at all, which is energy healing, you can do that in person very effectively, but you can also do it from a distance very effectively. That's just about connecting with the other person and trying to invest that positive energy into their space.
Okay. There's ways we could, I guess, independently test things like that as well. So it affects when you send somebody the positive energy, you say Reiki energy.
Yeah, Reiki. Mm-hmm.
What is it having an effect on, like, the probability around them of things going favorably for them, or just is it affecting them directly? What is the energy doing? Essentially, what is the effect of the energy?
My perspective on it is that it influences the energy of the individual. And I don't know, have you guys ever talked about the laws of attraction before?
Oh, no, go ahead. Well, yeah, sounds interesting.
Okay, so it's the laws of attraction tie into this. So it's, and this is just a psychological thing too, not necessarily spiritual. If you have a negative mindset, then your perspective shifts to seeing more negative things and you feel like there's more negativity. If you're inputting energy into somebody else that is positive, it can help affect the different thoughts that they have to be more positive, so that things seem more positive because they have more of a focus on those positive things. As well as if you are in tune to the feeling of vibrations and whatnot, you can actually feel when someone is putting, like, you know what, okay, I'm going to try this right now just for funsies. So right now I am sending you, Ethan, some really positive vibes.
Please,
and
I need them.
If you're sitting in some silence, just feel your body. And if you feel a little bit of tingling right now in your hands, or you feel a little bit of tingling in your chest, or you feel like it's hard to explain if you haven't like dealt with energy much or tried to identify it. But if you feel right now, I am shooting some serious positive vibes around you. Do you feel anything?
No. Should I?
It's all right.
I'm sorry. Robyn?
I'm still sending good vibes. And so if you take time in silence when you're not maybe running a show and you ask me or someone else to do this, you might actually feel a shift within yourself. It almost feels like you have magnets or something. Like, I don't, it's hard to describe, but there's times that you'll be able to actually physically feel those vibrations, whether positive or negative. So sometime when you're not on a show, give me a call and we can play around, and I'll send you some good vibes or send you some bad vibes and see if you actually feel it in those moments that you're not distracted by anything else.
That's
good way
a
to test
great idea. I would love to do that, Robyn. That would be a good opportunity to test and see if I can feel them. We should try and maybe this week's a little bit busy, but next week we should totally do this.
Yeah. Awesome. And then another thing that you can do on your own, and anyone can do, I think we talked about this during our last conversation, is if you have different plants, take 3 different plants, put them in a similar space, and focus on each one with a different energy. Focus on one with love, focus on one with hate and anger and disgust, and then ignore the other one.
Okay.
And you can see how it affects the plants individually. And even though that's not a person, it at least shows the effect of your thoughts and your feelings on a living object right in front of your face.
Well, I'm excited to do this. We have one more caller, so we have to wrap this up. But Brian, did you have any last questions?
No, I'm just laughing about how you're the guinea pig for all of this stuff. It's going to be,
I throw my feet to the fire, man. Like, again, I am open to being wrong here and people having legitimate abilities. So I'm totally down. I'll be the guinea pig for all of this.
if you want to make a voodoo doll of Ethan, give us a call at
I don't do the bad vibes, but maybe you'll find that bad witch to do that for you. And it's been a pleasure talking. I look forward to talking to you soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Robyn. And I
Thanks,
hope you have a
Robyn.
good day.
Thanks, guys.
Talk to you soon.